Johnny was a very curious young man. And he was sitting in his classroom and raised his hand nice and tall and says,
Excuse me, Mrs. Higginbottom?
"Yes, Johnny, what is it?"
Well, I was curious, and I was wondering if maybe you could answer a question for me, because you've always said that if you want to learn something, you have to ask questions, and so I thought I would ask, and maybe you could tell me.
"Why, yes, Johnny. Children, isn't this wonderful? Johnny's mind wants to be filled with the knowledge from me. And so, Johnny, what is it? Go ahead and ask your question."
Well, I was just wondering, I thought maybe you could tell me, because didn't know and thought maybe I could ask it.
"Yes, Johnny, please ask your question."
Well, I was just wondering, Mrs. Higginbottom, what's purple passion?
"Johnny, I can't believe you ask a question such as this in my classroom. No one has ever asked a question like that in my classroom ever before. And they will never ask a question like that again, because you are no longer going to be in my classroom. You, young man, just pack up your things and leave. You go down to the principal's office. That's what you should do." Poor Johnny. Just asked a question and he got in trouble for it. And so he opens up his desk and takes out his Star Wars Stormtrooper pencil sharpener and his peanut butter and jelly sandwich that he hadn't eaten for lunch yet, and went down to the principal's office. I mean, he had to ask directions on how to get there because he'd never been in trouble before. He didn't even know where the principal's office was, but he finally found his way there. And the secretary ushers him into the principal's office, and the principal says, "Well, Johnny, what you doing down here? You come to pick up a perfect attendance award or something? Because, you've never been in trouble before, so it's got to be something else. Why are you down here?"
Well, excuse me, Mr. Johnson, but I actually did get in trouble from Mrs. Higginbottom.
"You did? Now whatever did you do to get in trouble with Mrs. Higginbottom?"
Well, I asked her a question.
"You asked her a question? Now, how'd you get in trouble for asking a question?"
Well, I don't know. I was just curious, and she always said we should ask questions, and so I did, and then she just, she lost it, Mr. Johnson, and she threw me out of her class and said I should come down to see you.
"Well, I need to get to the bottom of this. What question did you ask?"
Are you really sure I should ask you?
"Well, yeah, of course. I got to know all the facts involved in this story. Now, you tell me, what question did you ask?"
Well, I was curious, and so I just thought I would ask her, because she always said to ask questions if you wanted to learn things, and so
"Johnny, just tell me what the question was."
Okay, well, I asked, what's purple passion?
"Johnny, I can't believe you asked a question like that. Ain't nobody ever asked a question like that in my school, and you know what? Nobody's going to ask a question like that in my school ever again, because you are no longer in my school. You're out. You're gone. Kaputnik, feller. You just head on home. Don't ever come back." Poor Johnny. Just asked a simple question, and he got kicked out of his classroom, and he got kicked out of his school. So he goes home, and he goes in, and his mom's sitting there, watching Dr. Oz or something, and she turns and looks and says, "Oh, Johnny, my goodness, are you feeling well? Why are you home so soon? Why didn't the school call me if they were going to send you home? I don't believe it. Did you have a temperature? Does your tummy hurt? What's going on?" And Johnny says, "No, Mom, I got in trouble. And I got kicked out of Mrs. Higginbottom's class, and then Mr. Johnson, the principal, kicked me out of school." "Kicked you out of school? Why, whatever have you done? You've always been such a nice little boy. Now, what happened that you got in trouble like that?"
Well, I asked a question.
"You got in trouble for asking a question? Now, that just doesn't seem right. I don't know. I may have to call Dr. Oz or somebody to ask them if that's right or not. But tell me now, what question did you ask?"
"Oh, Mom, I don't really think you want to know."
"Well, I certainly do, because I'm going to go down there and give them a piece of my mind."
"Do you really think you could spare that, Mom?"
"And then, never mind your sarcasm, young man, and I'm going to give them a piece of my mind, and I'm going to get you back in that school."
I don't think they'll ever let me back in school again, Mom. Well, what was the question you asked? And I just can't believe this. Well, I just asked, what's purple passion?
What?
Why, Johnny Rutherford, be you. I don't believe you ask a question like that. Nobody's ever asked a question like that in my family. Matter of fact, nobody's ever gonna ask a question like that in my family because you are no longer in my family. You just pack up your things. Matter of fact, you don't have any things. Everything you have, we gave to you. So you just leave right now. Poor Johnny got kicked out of his class, kicked out of his school, kicked out of his home. And there he goes. He's got his little Star Wars Stormtrooper pencil sharpener and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And he's walking down the street saying, what am I going to do? I can't believe all this happened. And then it starts raining. And he's just soaked. And his peanut butter and jelly sandwich just melts away. All he's left is the peanut butter, because the bread kind of gets soaked and the jelly got all washed. And he's got this handful of peanut butter walking down the street, and then he looks, and across the highway is this building. It's a brick building. It's a red brick building. As a matter of fact, it's a great big red brick building. And on top of this great big red brick building are words in huge flashing lights. Says purple passion. Purple passion. Purple passion. Purple passion. And he looks up at purple passion. Purple passion. And he thinks, oh my goodness, somebody in that building is going to know what purple passion is, and they'll answer my question, and all my curiosity will be, of course, I still won't have a home, but at least I'll be happy. And so he takes off to go ask somebody, and a truck comes by and squishes him like so many grapes. The moral of the story, of course, is always look both ways before crossing the street.